What does true commitment in marriage really mean in the eyes of God? In a world where relationships can sometimes be discarded as easily as old clothes, the teachings of Jesus on divorce stand as a profound challenge to our contemporary understandings. As we delve into the scriptural depths of Matthew 19, a striking dialogue emerges that not only questions societal norms but invites us to reconsider the very nature of love and commitment. If you're intrigued by a fresh perspective on an age-old debate, make sure to hit the subscribe button to join us on this enlightening journey. The topic of divorce, particularly its ethical and moral dimensions within Christian theology, has long been a contentious and deeply explored subject. One of the most pivotal scriptures that addresses this issue directly is found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, verses 3 to 9. Here, Jesus engages in a critical conversation with the Pharisees, who test him by asking if it is lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason. In this passage, Jesus refers back to the foundational texts of Genesis, emphasizing, "Haven't you read," he replied, "that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no one separate.'" Matthew 19 verses 4 to 6. This appeal to the Genesis creation narrative reiterates the sanctity and indissolubility of marriage as ordained by God at the inception of human history. Moreover, Jesus elaborates on the condition under which divorce was permitted in the Mosaic Law, attributing it to the hardness of human hearts and presenting an exception to the indissolubility of marriage in cases of sexual immorality. Matthew 19 verses 8 to 9. This discourse not only provides a direct scriptural foundation but also sets a historical context where divorce was regulated but not encouraged, highlighting a deviation from contemporary interpretations and practices. The theological implications of Jesus' teachings on divorce are profound and multifaceted. Initially, the strictness of Jesus' response to the Pharisees underscores a return to the original intentions of marital union, pushing against the leniencies that had crept into Jewish law through rabbinical interpretations. This stance can be viewed as a restoration of the sanctity of marriage, emphasizing that marriage is not merely a contractual agreement but a divine union that should not be dissolved casually. Furthermore, the exception clause of sexual immorality introduces a significant area of theological debate. This phrase, often translated as porneia, can be interpreted in several ways, from adultery to a broader range of sexual sins, indicating that while marriage is sacred, there are grave circumstances where its bond is fundamentally violated, thus permitting a divorce. In exploring Jesus' unique views on divorce, these scriptural insights highlight a contrast between the cultural practices of his time and his teachings. By emphasizing the permanence of marriage and limiting the grounds for divorce strictly to cases of sexual immorality, Jesus not only challenges the existing norms but also elevates the discussion to the level of divine intention and human responsibility. His response to the Pharisees brings to the forefront the principle that marriage should not be subject to whimsical or trivial dissolution, thereby casting a light on the seriousness with which marital commitments should be treated. This analysis underscores the notion that understanding and adhering to the divine framework for marriage and divorce is essential for the spiritual health of the community. It reveals how Jesus' teachings, though seemingly restrictive, aim to foster a deeper respect for marital bonds and a more profound sense of accountability in personal relationships. Understanding Jesus' teachings on divorce in their broader historical and cultural context reveals the radical nature of his views against the backdrop of first-century Judea. At the time, divorce was relatively accessible for men and could be initiated for reasons ranging from serious grievances to trivial dissatisfaction. This practice was influenced by varying interpretations of Mosaic law by different rabbinic schools, such as those of Hillel and Shammai, which debated the acceptable grounds for divorce. Jesus' insistence on limiting the grounds for divorce to cases of sexual immorality challenged the prevailing liberal interpretations and addressed the societal issues related to marital fidelity and the treatment of women. By doing so, he not only addressed the moral and ethical dimensions of marriage but also advocated for the protection and dignity of women, who were often left vulnerable and stigmatized by divorce. The theological and ethical implications of this stance are profound, suggesting a vision of marriage as a covenant reflecting God's unbreakable commitment to humanity. This vision invites Christians to view marriage as a divine institution meant to mirror the steadfast love and fidelity that characterizes God's relationship with his people. Critics of Jesus' strict view on divorce might argue that such a stance is unrealistic and overly idealistic, especially in cases where non-sexual breaches of trust or harm occur. They contend that maintaining such marriages might lead to ongoing harm or dysfunction. Advocates for a more flexible understanding of divorce might cite the need for compassion and practicality in cases where reconciliation seems unlikely or harmful. However, the counterargument rests on the broader biblical context of mercy, justice, and protection for the oppressed, which can be interpreted as supporting divorce in cases where the marital relationship itself becomes destructive. Thus, while Jesus explicitly mentions sexual immorality as a ground for divorce, the overarching biblical concern for human dignity and well-being could be seen as implicitly supporting divorce in other severely damaging circumstances. The exploration of Jesus' teachings on divorce highlights a significant aspect of his ministry: the reformation of social norms based on a return to divine principles. His views not only provide strict guidelines but also a compassionate acknowledgement of human frailty, as seen in the allowance for divorce in the context of sexual immorality. This stance underscores the balance between upholding the sanctity of marriage and addressing the reality of human sin and failure. By challenging the norms of his time and advocating for a high standard of marital fidelity, Jesus elevates the conversation around marriage from a legal contract to a covenantal relationship that demands serious commitment and reflects divine love. The implications of this teaching are far-reaching, offering insights into the nature of divine and human relationships, the ethical treatment of individuals within those relationships, and the societal values that govern interpersonal conduct. In sum, Jesus' teachings on divorce, while rooted in specific scriptural and historical contexts, invite ongoing reflection and debate. They challenge believers to consider not only the letter of the law but also the spirit of love, justice, and mercy that underpins all divine commandments. This investigation into the unique views of Jesus on divorce thus not only clarifies historical and theological points but also encourages a deeper consideration of how divine principles should be lived out in contemporary Christian life. In concluding our exploration of Jesus' revolutionary views on divorce, we find that his teachings are not just historical footnotes but vibrant, living instructions that challenge us to view marriage as a divine covenant of unwavering commitment. How do these ancient words resonate with our modern experiences of love and fidelity? Share your thoughts and engage in this profound discussion in the comments below. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. May your exploration of these teachings enrich your understanding and relationships. God bless you.